Hello. This is currently February 2026, and already it's becoming quite clear that there are two key topics that the retailers are talking to me about. So I wanted to kind of touch on one of those, and that is no surprises really. It is AI SEO, GEO, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, it's how we get visible in the LLMs like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, etc. There's a whole load of utter shite being talked about this at the moment. So I figured I wanted to just jump on here quickly and tell you what it is that I know about this subject right now and what I'm telling my clients. So two schools of thought, right? One is that GEO is just SEO, and that all of the same tactics are really what you want to be doing, and it works. And you know, you don't need a GEO agency, you just need good SEO. Valid. The other school of thought is that GEO is very different and you need a whole load of new tactics and new ways to measure it, and you need a dedicated GEO expert, and also valid to an extent. However, what the GEO is SEO crowd are saying is that well, no one really knows what works and what doesn't within the pure GEO. So how are you telling me there's different tactics here when actually we know that really the ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini is just using your search engine anyway. Good visibility in search equals good visibility in the LLMs. The truth is, from my own research, it's kind of a little bit more muddied, and it actually is kind of overlapped. So let's think about, if we kind of go back to kind of and try and simplify things a little bit. What is it that is happening when you go to ChatGPT and you start doing research for something that you want to buy? I should preface this by saying I am literally only talking about within the context of e-commerce websites here. That is my specialty. If you are trying to get a lead gen website or a content only website ranking, probably not as much value in here. But essentially what's happening, right, is you are going and you're sort of you're brainstorming, you're using your kind of LLM to help you with the kind of the research and narrow down what product to buy. I've done this a lot myself recently, buying anything from weightlifting shoes to a new laptop. I have used ChatGPT or Copilot to help me narrow that down, but also I've done a lot of kind of data extraction from these platforms as well to kind of understand what's happening. And really, it does emulate what a person would have done before the rise of ChatGPT. And how would you have researched what you were looking to purchase? You would have started by going into your search engine of choice, and you would have gone quite wide with your searches. Let's say you're looking for a new TV, you probably know the size of it, but you would be trying to understand, what is the right technology to have there. How do you make sure it's future-proofed? What sort of budget do you need, etc., etc. And that's the thing that these initial sort of Google searches would have helped you to do. Now, what's happening when you're going into like the AIs to do this? They're just trying to kind of shortcut this a little bit. So what happens is when you're going to and you're saying, help me to buy a laptop, help me to buy a guitar, help me to buy some weightlifting shoes, help me to buy some jeans, whatever. First thing it's got to do is it's got to define the terms for the product category that you are in. And so what it does is it's kind of initially will either go to its own knowledge if it's a fairly fixed category with a known kind of known definition of good, or it will go out to the open web and it will try and define the terms. And really the best way to summarize that is it is going out and it is asking either its own knowledge base or the web, best X for Y. How do I define the best X for Y? So based on what it knows about you, it infers what is X and what is Y, and it will go and it will try and figure out those terms. So it might be best laptop for a student. It might be best CrossFit shoes for Olympic weightlifting. You know, these are kind of best X for Y type things we're talking about. Now, what is important to recognize here is that when it is doing these types of searches, typically you as a retailer, you might be thinking, oh great, I've got to fill up my blogs with hundreds of different best X for Y type pieces of content, and every variant of best X for Y that relates to my catalog, I need to make sure that I've got a blog article talking about it. Hold up. Don't be so hasty. Because what is actually happening is they are kind of discounting the retailers themselves as an authoritative source for this type of thing. So they're actually looking for some independent verification or some independent view on what is best X for Y. So they'll use that to then build up a kind of a matrix of like, okay, so I understand that Dan is looking for the best spell book to cast these types of magic levitation spells. Therefore, I have been off to spellbook review sites, this long-running magazine that is talking about wizardy type supplies, and I'm looking at how they define the terms of what is the best spellbook for levitation spells. All right, and they will probably find that there are certain common features that are referenced. You know, it is leather bound, it is from this particular school of ancient knowledge, etc., etc. Builds all of these features, these attributes, the product attributes. Then it follows that up with a set of searches that are more specific to retailers. Where can I find within the market that Dan is in, where can I find the retailers, the retail sites that are trusted, reliable, sell this product, have it for a good price, have it in stock, are able to ship it to me, all of this kind of thing. So what this means for you as a retailer, your first task, job number one, is not create all this best X for Y type content. Is the best thing you can do is first make sure that your site is appearing as a trusted destination to make a purchase, right? That's job one. Get your Trustpilot reviews in check, get your Google reviews in check, make sure that your customer service is on point, make sure your price is competitive, make sure your delivery proposition is clear, make sure your stock availability is absolutely clear, make sure that your product schema, so that you remove any kind of doubt about what is on the page, is absolutely clear with your availability, your price, if it's on special offer, how long the special offer is going to run for, all of this kind of stuff, right? All of that good e-commerce fundamental, these good e-commerce fundamentals that we don't look at often enough, honestly, as retailers, I've got to say. Let's just make sure that we are providing all of that, all of these quality signals first and foremost. And then the next thing we do is we make sure that we understand what are the attributes around our product that people are typically have identified as the ones that they are going to reinforce their purchase decision, and make sure that we are exposing those properly within our kind of product schema and our taxonomy and our catalog, right? So our best X for Y it's not about telling people what the best X for Y is. It's once ChatGPT or your other LLM of choice has gone off and decided that, well, the best X for Y has these features, make sure that you understand what those features are and that you are clearly exposing them on your site. So it becomes about your navigation, it becomes about your faceted nav as well, your filters, and it becomes about how you are presenting your product range. If there are particular features that are important, for example, if it's apparel, right? You need to make sure that it is absolutely clear what sizes you currently have in stock and what the prices are for those sizes. Amazing how many fashion retailers get that wrong. I'll go to a shoe retailer and I will go, right, I'm going to filter by size 10.5, and I will find that I'll get a list of shoes that, yes, at some point they had stocked 10.5, but on all of them they've sold out. Very, very frustrating to kind of click into each of those and go, okay, filtered by 10.5, gone in. Oh, that's out of stock, gone in. That's out of stock, gone in. That's out of stock. And so if that's the experience you're giving, and that is the lack of clarity that you are giving, then that is the lack of clarity that the LLMs are going to pick up on. So they're going to go to somewhere where they can offer a little bit more certainty in aiding their human user that is using them as an interface to access information on the web. They are going to be prioritizing those retailers that they know satisfy the needs of the people who are having these conversations, right? So first thing is understand what is already, let's say the first thing is make sure that your site has all of the right quality signals. Second thing is go and see what already exists out there from non-retail websites within your category as far as how they are talking about what are the features that should be considered when aiming to purchase your product, and that will be these kind of best X for Y type searches. And then make sure that your website, through your product data, your product taxonomy, your navigation, your faceted nav, really strongly reflects those attributes. And that is how you will start to find that you will get not just visibility within the LLMs, but visibility at the point people are ready to click through and purchase, which is really what, as retailers, that's all we give a shit about. Okay, hopefully that's clarified where my mind is at right now. I am sure that, this is emerging tech and it is going to change over the course of this year. I'll be revisiting this topic soon. So if AI and AI visibility is something that is on your mind right now, you might want to subscribe to this channel, because I will be, as I say, I'll be revisiting it. And as I learn more, I will tell you more. Okay, thanks for listening. Hopefully see you in the next one.